Hey, Monica.
Hey, how's it going?
It's none of our business. 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 It's none of our business.
How's it been going this week?
You know, not that much. I'm trying to hibernate. The snow is making me crazy. COVID, I'm so grateful that we get to stay home and work from home because I literally don't leave my house other than to drive my kids to school.
Well, I had to drive my ass here today, and it's like a 45-minute drive, which worked out to about an hour and a half. And I just put fucking snow tires on too, but it's the road, it's slow and it's icy and it's shitty, and this is our life from November to what?
March?
Yeah, for sure, March.
I was talking to Colton this morning and we were walking to school, like into his school. I go, I hate winter. He goes, Mom, it's not technically winter. And I said, it doesn't matter. As soon as there's snow on the ground, it's winter and I'm over it. Like,
and this is something that we complain about constantly as Canadians.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd actually want to move to the US, but man, I would sure love to live somewhere warmer. Wouldn't you?
Oh my gosh, I joke about it all the time. Like, let's go to Mexico. And Colton's like, I don't think we can go to Mexico. They still have COVID there.
This is what your son says?
This is our conversation yesterday.
Wow. I can't.
This is my 6-year-old.
It's like your 6-year-old is so, it's just amazing how much they know. Like, you guys must talk about COVID all the time then.
We don't, but I think school does. School.
Okay.
He's getting it from all around him. They're like sponges. And because we used to kind of like, you say whatever around your kid, you assume they're not listening.
Yeah.
I've been realizing, and I've been saying this to other parents, they listen from like the age of 2.
They do.
And you're like, oh, you remember that? You were picking that up? So we really have to watch what we say, especially with having such a sensitive kid. Because I was talking about thunderstorms one day. It was starting to rain. And then for some reason, we started talking about tornadoes. He literally starts sobbing, worried that a tornado was coming.
Yeah.
And we had to explain to him, no, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, oh, I didn't even know you were listening.
Yeah. I was a super sensitive kid too.
You were?
Yeah. Super, super sensitive.
Interesting.
Yeah, I do have memories of like, I was deathly. I was so afraid of fire trucks. Like, and I can actually remember like every time a fire truck would drive by with their sirens on, then I would.
What were you scared of?
The sound, perhaps. And I can actually remember the moment when I decided not to be afraid of fire trucks anymore. Like, I remember I still have in my mind's eye at 6 years old going, there's a fire truck and I'm not going to cry. Like, I can remember that, but I was super sensitive to startling.
Oh.
So, and my dad is a psychoanalyst, so he sort of got me over startling. And the way that you get over startling, because startling is a fear. And so if you become afraid of, you're not actually afraid of the loud noise. You're afraid of when you hear the loud noise or the barking dog.
Or like a balloon popping.
Or I was so afraid of balloons.
Yeah.
So afraid of balloons.
Interesting.
So if you can, instead of bracing yourself for the startle, you actually look forward to it. So instead of going, it sounds funny.
This is going to be great.
Instead of going, okay, I'm bracing myself. It's coming. You're like, it's coming. I can't wait. Like if you seriously do that,
so then what? So
then you won't startle. Like,
so you practice that enough, so then when it happens by surprise, it
doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. So because I used to startle.
So if I pop a balloon, you're just like, you're good.
Yes.
We'll test it. Don't worry, guys.
Like I have a really good non-startling ability now because of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I learned something new about you every day, Monica.
Yeah. It's like a definitely, and the same goes for nightmares. So I used to have like a consistent nightmare every night. And it was just this face, and it was this crazy face that would come out, and I would wake up screaming, and my dad would say, change the ending of the story. So when you see that face, throw a pie in his face. Like, I was quite young.
Yeah.
So I would sit in my dream in anticipation that the face would come, and it never came back. Like, it's that whole facing your fear almost.
I love that your dad did that with you, because I think a lot of parents would be like, there's nothing to be scared of. Go back to sleep.
That's what you would say.
It is.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that because I'm like Colton goes, I'm scared. But sometimes I think he does it just because he doesn't want to go to sleep. But it's like,
Colton, what are you scared of? You're in a house with your mom and dad.
Yeah, but you need to stop you need to stop justifying why he shouldn't. You just need to say, what are you afraid of?
And he goes, I don't know. That's the problem.
Okay.
And that's what makes me think he's just.
And then you need to say, well, it's okay to be afraid. We're all afraid sometimes. Like fear is it's okay to be afraid. But your mommy and daddy are here and we'll always protect you.
And that's what we say. I'm like, there's literally nothing to be scared of. You're in a house with your family. Like this is the best place you could be. Like go to bed.
I actually think that a good thing that you could do there is like, well, let's think of something scary together. And so, if you said, well, there's a monster under the bed, then you can say, okay, let's pretend there's a monster under the bed and let's take our laser beam and shoot it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like if you sort of take that
monster
under the bed or or whatever it is, like whatever his fear is, like I would start exploring it with him. And then it can become this fun game of how to kill the monster, how to, take the barking dog and throw him a steak, like whatever simple thing in his little mind.
What if he's scared of a real dog? Because he is.
I was terrified of dogs.
So how did you get over that?
I'm still terrified of dogs.
So you've always told me you just don't like dogs. Turns out you're scared of them.
Well, once again, and what I don't like about dogs is I don't like them barking because it startles me. I don't like them jumping on me. I think they stink. I think they're gross. But you'd have to find out what he's afraid of. My guess he's afraid of them startling him.
Jumping up on him.
Yes.
That is what it is.
It is the startling.
Yeah.
So if you'd have to actually probably get him to find a dog that he wasn't afraid of, something really small that kept jumping up on him and realizing that it wasn't something to be afraid of.
We're slowly doing that because at his Nana's house, they have some dogs there, and at first it's like we couldn't even bring him in the backyard, and now it's like slowly there. And it's just I feel the same way about dogs. I'm like, although certain dogs have grown on me, like I really like well-behaved dogs that just cuddle you. Like I do see the appeal.
They stink.
Do I want one? No.
And they poop. Do you know that dogs poop?
You have to feed them every day too,
and
don't you?
You have to feed them, and they go into your backyard and they poop. And you know what? People think that I'm like a psychopath because I hate dogs, but I love children.
Yeah.
Like your kids, like
I
could eat them up, but not literally eat them up.
It's fine if you do.
That's cruel. But I've never been an animal lover. Like,
we're so much the same.
It could be a fear thing for me.
Yeah.
But even cats, like my sister has 3 cats. I'm like, get your fucking cat away.
Even as a kid, I grew up with cats, and like I remember, I would lay on the couch and they would lay on my legs, and I would cut. But I never got that same feeling that the rest of my family. Like the rest of my family just loves animals, and I was like, I could take or leave them, really.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I will leave them. Like I think I told you, I've said it on my other podcast before. Like when me and Carson first met, I said I've got 2 things. Like if you want, because he really wanted to date me, and I said I've got 2 things that might be an issue, and these are non-negotiables for me. I don't like religion. And I don't like dogs. And those are...
It's God and dog. And it's the same word.
I know. Exactly. And it's fine. Meanwhile, he's got a cross tattoo on his back. And I'm like, is it? He's like, no, I just got this tattoo. And then the dog thing, turns out he was bullshitting me. And he just wanted to get in my pants. And he's like, we're going to get a dog. I'm like, we've gone like 12 years and we still don't have a dog. I think at this point, he's like, we're busy enough with kids. Like, I can't imagine throwing a dog into this life.
You just wait, because I can totally see it. But see, Greg loves dogs and cats, loves them, and he's so allergic to them.
Perfect.
Like, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I will not deal with one of those smelly, and they don't want to be touched all the time. I hate that. I don't want to touch something.
Especially because your hand stinks when you're...
People are going to think we're horrible.
So follow us on our YouTube channel.
We're really not evil. Honestly, we're not.
Okay, so I just opened a bottle of wine.
Ooh. Was it expensive? Because I only drink expensive wine.
Well, yeah. So it's a very nice bottle.
Yeah.
Let me just grab it for you. Hang on.
Why am I thinking that this is not a very nice bottle of wine?
Okay, so we're box people. Okay. Finally, I admit it. I'm a box person.
Amanda, you suck so bad.
Okay,
woo! Let's give it a go.
Oh, it's just so nice.
You know what? It's not bad. Honestly, it's really good.
How much do you think that box costs?
Well, because it's in a box, it's 4 liters in a box. Is it $40?
$35 on sale.
Holy shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I do it. Like I buy them when they're on sale.
It's not bad at all.
Right? And if I'm like, I don't know, if I want a really nice bottle, like we have bottles of wine that we keep in the house, but like
for when good people come over?
Yeah, for when it
fucker.
Sometimes even though I'm like, well, I don't really want to open the box, we'll just like have a bottle of wine.
I don't want to open the box.
It only lasts 6 weeks. There was one time, I think it was last winter, we were just drinking wine every night. Actually, it might have been right when COVID started. We went through a box in a week and we are like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
What have we done?
What about the Doritos? Were you eating those too with the wine? Because it's,
Doritos and wine?
Well, I'm just thinking you're going to have to eat some fat with your, like, it's COVID. We all started pigging out and shit.
Doritos are never my go-to,
No,
but I'm sure I pick something else bad.
Yeah,
pepperoni sticks or something.
So I recently sold my house and the real estate agent came over and bought me this bottle of wine. I really should try to remember the name of it. Anyways, I Googled it and it was like about $35 for the bottle. And me and Greg poured a glass and then poured the rest out.
It was that bad.
It just, like, when you're sitting there and I'm thinking, I really want a nice bottle of wine. And I just didn't like it at all. So price isn't necessarily, the more you spend, the better it's going to be. Like this cheap ass bottle of wine.
We'll call it a bottle.
Yeah. Box of wine is better than, it had a rooster on it. I don't know what wine has roosters on it, but we'll call it my rooster wine, but it wasn't good.
It makes my heart ache when I have to dump a bottle of wine out because I've had that too. Like I bought this honey wine. It was so bad. And like I did a taste test in the store and I was like, this is delicious. But I think it's one of those things. I was just in a good mood and it just tasted good. So I bought like 2 bottles of it. I had to dump them. And I'm like,
that's when you give it to people for Christmas.
Well, when it's already open.
Oh, you open them both?
Well, I don't really remember the situation with the second one. Maybe
you probably
did.
opened up a second time and went, oh yeah, I forgot.
Maybe. Could have been.
Next time you give them to someone for Christmas, not me.
Yeah.
I'll know.
No, I would never do that to you.
Shitty honey wine.
Think I'm ever going to get you a Christmas present? Just kidding. I've been shopping since October.
I'll give you a list of all the things that I want.
Okay. Make sure you put lists of things you don't want to because I don't want to fuck up. Okay, so tell me what else has been going on in your life.
So this is not too long ago, but it's really started having me think about this is my dad is getting older. Like he's 81 years old. And recently he was put into the hospital. So, okay, back up a bit. I was on the island that he lives on. And I was there for a visit, and then 10 days later, he's in the hospital with pneumonia.
During COVID times?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so his doctor calls me, like, this is a small place, and his doctor calls me, he knows me. And I'm like, hello, Dr. Black, how are you? And this tone is very, hello, Monica. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And he's like, you were just here, and now your dad is in the hospital, and he's sick. And I'm like, does he have COVID? And he's like, he's been tested, but we're testing him again because it sure looks like it. And could you have brought the COVID from Alberta? And what do you think that I feel like?
You're like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like a piece of shit because he's got pneumonia. He's in the hospital. And I'm calling him and he's not acting like himself. Like he's not remembering the questions that I'm asking him. He's, he tells me that he's incontinent and he tells me he wants to come home and kill himself. Like this is the end for him. This is what he's saying. And then you start doing the whole talking really slowly. Like it's gonna be okay. I'm coming to see you. And he's like, don't you come to see me. I don't want to see you. Because when he's sick, he doesn't want me around.
Yeah.
And so I just made plans with his wife and was going to come see him anyways. But anyways, it's really started to make me worry about parents when they're older. Like my dad is 81 years old and he has this plan and it's fucking crazy to me. But he has this bottle of helium in his house. And have you ever heard that if you inhale helium, your body thinks of it as oxygen and it just accepts it and then you just die?
How much do you inhale? Because don't people do that to make their voices funnier?
You do, but if you can get like a mask and put it over your face and then you will just pass out and go to sleep and then you'll just die because your body thinks of it as oxygen. Like it doesn't.
Fills your lungs up and everything?
It doesn't. There's no register in your brain going, red light, stop it. Like your body just goes, oh, I'm breathing air. And then you just pass out and die. So he has literally bought himself a tank of helium so that when the time comes, he can kill himself. So this was his plan. And his wife called me and said, oh my God, he's planning on offing himself when he gets home and I'm not letting him out of the hospital.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like,
has he always been the kind of person who does like crazy plans like that? Or is this like an old age thing?
This is something he's probably had this helium tank for the last 20 years. It probably doesn't hold. I don't even know how long helium lasts, but he's had this plan of like, I've got this in my back corner because I will not sit in diapers. I won't,
fair.
You know what I mean?
Which I get that too. Like nobody wants to live that way. But
yeah, but you know, on my side, I'm like, well, like every time I talk to my dad, I'm like, okay, like, can you live until I see you next? Like, I'll be there in a few months. And it's sort of our joke. And he's like, haha, I'll still be here. But there's still...
So would you, as his child, would you rather have him, let's say he was incontinent, starting to lose his mind, like just not doing good, like pretty much a shell of what he was?
Yeah.
Or would you rather know that he offed himself with helium?
Well, you know, I know this sounds fucked, but being the person that I am, I understand the helium.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. And I'm thinking, there's a part of me that goes, good idea. Like, the logical part of me says, I get that because I may just get myself a helium tank.
Yeah, now that I know.
Yeah, because if there's an easy way to kill yourself, there's no slicing of wrists, there's no gun to the head. This is like I'm just going to...
Like assisted suicide
but
via helium.
You're just assisting it yourself, right? And I'm thinking, yeah.
Because nobody wants to live this kind of half existence, you know, like this shell of yourself. Do you know? Like if your body's not working, like, so I understand it. But at the same time, the people that are left behind, his wife, his kids, his grandkids.
Yeah, but when you're in your 80s, you know, I get it because the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, I could die. Like
I could die tomorrow. It's fine. I've done enough.
I feel like I've had my babies, I've raised my kids, and I know you're not there yet. And I thought if I died today, I think that I would be like, yeah, check mark, I lived a happy life.
Fair enough.
And at 81, you know, you're done. Like all you're doing is like, oh, what's the weather like today?
Yeah, waiting to
like,
die.
What? Like I know
you
that
don't have
sounds
any goals.
Morbid.
Like do 80-year-olds have like 5-year plans?
No, they don't. It's just like I'm gonna get up today.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to travel. We're getting to the point now, and Greg's parents are the same. Where I'm like, they're getting too old to travel, so they can't even come here anymore.
Where are Greg's parents?
In Kamloops. So,
right.
And which is a 10-hour, 8-hour drive. I can't remember. One of those. Let's go with 10 hours.
Yeah.
But they're getting too old to drive, and when you see your parents go that way, you know it's only a matter of time before it's the end. And it's a really hard reality to face for me as a daughter because I think that we have a lot of unresolved issues. Like me and my dad have unresolved issues that will never get resolved.
Do you have any urge to resolve them?
No, and I know that sounds awful too.
I get it.
But why bring up the drama for him? Like I think that for me, would it do me any good? Like we have some issues. Like I've got some abandonment issues. My dad left when I think I was 21 and my sister would have been, she's 9 years younger. Do the math. I'm an accountant, so I don't know.
Yeah. I use spreadsheets for math, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But so I have some abandonment issues where he just sort of left the family and we've never talked about it. There's never been an
How did
apology.
he come back? Was it?
He just sort of, yes. He just kind of came back one day.
And were you guys kind of like, or were you, Daddy's home?
So it was probably 3 years for me that I hadn't seen him or heard from him, but it was a complete cutoff. It was, we don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see anyone in the family. We're done. And it doesn't matter how old you are as a child, it fucking breaks your heart.
Well, being abandoned by anybody, like even if it's a friend who all of a sudden stops answering your calls, you're like, what did I do?
But
so
when a parent does that, it leaves a wound that never heals.
Oh, fair.
So my sister, who would have been, like her abandonment was a lot longer. Like I think that my sister was 9 when it happened to her, when he said, we're done. But for me, I was the chosen child, so I could actually.
Interesting.
Yes, I was still in his good graces until
I want to ask him. I have so many questions for his side.
About 21 years old. And then I did this thing where I just was like, okay, well, he could pull the rug out from under me anytime. So I'm just going to be the best daughter. I'm going to agree with everything he says.
That's your style, though. That's what you do with a lot of people in your life.
But it was a learned behavior, right? And now you know why. Because I had to learn to do this in order to keep my dad from leaving me. And then he did leave. So I just sort of solidified exactly. I knew it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when he did leave, I'm like, well, I knew this was going to happen.
So you still have this resentment towards him, or these wounds, or this sadness?
It's not a resentment. It's a wound,
It's a
right?
wound, yeah.
And so I think
could he say anything to fix
Yeah.
it? Apologize or
Yeah.
explain why?
Yeah, and
And
I think he has explained why, and his reasoning was like, "Oh, I was just traumatized by the divorce, and I just couldn't handle this." But it didn't say it didn't talk about what he did. Do you know what I mean? Like he never said what I did was wrong. I should never have done that. Like he didn't come to my wedding because he was too traumatized by the guilt of his divorce. Like when I think about that as an adult, I'm like, fucking grow up. Like, where's your fucking balls?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the relationship that I have with my dad, I guess I'm still doing a little bit of a dance of like, I'm the perfect daughter and I understand, right? And so now at 81, when he's like he's got one foot out the door, I can't heal that because he has to.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's going to cause a bunch of uncomfortable conversations. And if he actually is like not doing that good and you only have so much time left, you really want to put yourself and your relationship through that. But is that something that you're going to regret?
I don't think I'll regret it. I think I may have to go through it in some kind of counseling or something. I think I may need counseling over it, but I think that if he was the person who could heal this, I think it would already have been healed. And so I think that when you're dealing with somebody in your life like that, you just have to accept it. You just have to go, this is who you are. I'm no longer going to give my full love to you.
Yeah.
I will never fully ever trust you. Like you just don't. You're like, well, you've taken that away. So now our relationship is confined to this. Before it was this.
Yeah.
And now it's this. Now we're going to talk about the weather and we're going to talk about, but you'll never have my full heart. And can you imagine if your children felt that way about you?
That's what I'm thinking about right now, just how we do that with certain relationships in our lives, and it's okay. And like, because a lot of times you'd be like, well, if you have that person in your life, fuck them if you can't. But it's your parents, so you can't cut them out. So you just
Some people do, but I can't.
Yeah.
You just put them in a different spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to make it dark. I give you a couple sips of wine.
God, I need more wine. God, that's not what this intention of this podcast was supposed to be about.
Okay, so I was scrolling the other day.
What?
It's my new thing now. You've enlightened me.
All right.
I found something I wanted to show you.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, let me find it here. Get on the old phone. Okay. Of course, I'm not prepared. Okay, so somebody put something out on the Facebook community saying, am I too needy? I'm getting an abortion and my boyfriend doesn't understand why I want his emotional support. He says I should just deal with it. What can I say to make him understand? So it's hard to know all the details because obviously we don't. So we're going to project because that's what we do. We're going to assume that we know the story. But in my mind, they obviously have agreed that they don't want this kid.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like she's doing it behind his back.
No.
But he just doesn't give a shit at all. Like, he's like, this is a you problem. Kind of like the birth control, like, pill. Like, that's a you problem.
Yeah. Like, it's inside you. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
And even if you decide that, I mean, what kind of animal is going to say, well, you just go and deal with it yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take anything to realize that that's an emotional situation for a woman. Dump his fucking ass.
Yeah. Like, that guy doesn't care about you. Like, that's insane to me. Like, I have guy friends that will like take their wife to the hairdressers. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's COVID and you need support.
Yeah, it's like no, for real. But it's the nice thing to do is like your partner is going through something.
Yeah.
How is this even
a thing.
Like a thing. Like I'm glad that you're getting the abortion.
Yeah.
As much as that sucks to say, because you shouldn't have a kid with this person. Like he is not your person.
So if you have to ask the question, what can I say to make him understand? It means to me that she's expressed those feelings and she said to him, I really need you there because I've also been in a situation where I've thought that. What can I do to make my husband understand what I mean? Because obviously I'm not saying it right. You are saying it right. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Which honestly, maybe he thinks it's just like a quick little process, suck it out. But like abortions are a big deal. Like it's emotionally puts you through a lot of shit and depends where she lives. Like I was listening to this thing and it was a doctor who deals with abortions essentially and that kind of thing. And she was explaining different states in the US have different rules. So some of them are, you can come in, you can just get your abortion. They don't really ask many questions. It is what it is. There's other states that make you get an ultrasound, listen to the heartbeat.
That's true.
Before you can do it. So that's like pretty much encouraging you not to do it.
And not only that, the abortion protesters are allowed to stand so far away. Like often it's like 10 feet from the clinic.
Yeah.
So just imagine you're feeling sensitive. You have the abortion protesters calling you a murderer as you walk through the door. And then you have to do all this shit by yourself. Even if you don't have to get an ultrasound and hear the heartbeat.
Like, you need your person there. Like that you need that like it's crazy. Like if I don't know, if your partner is sick, if they're stub their toe, well maybe not if they stub their toe, but
whatever.
Like, you should be giving emotional support to your partner if they're going through something that you guys did together. Like that's a crazy question. I just feel actually really sorry for her.
Well, I honestly hope that she has left him.
Yeah, by this point, I hope
that she realizes that this man is not going to ever be there for her. Like if this is the epitome of you need to be here for me. Yeah. And if you are not, you are not worth having around.
Imagine if they did end up having a kid or anything, like anything in life that you go through as a couple, like you need to be there for each other.
Yeah. It's a complete bullshit question and I'm actually really angry right now. I'm fucking mad, Amanda.
Speaking of those abortion protesters, I was driving the other day and there was a big truck, like one of those 1-ton trucks, or I don't know what they're called. Like
and
the big.
Did it have a picture?
It had posters all over the back and sides of it. What is that?
How can that be legal?
What's inside that truck?
Milk?
And it was a woman driving it. And I'm like, I wanted to follow them. I'm like, where are you driving?
So was it just like a truck with no name on it?
No, yeah, it was just like one of those big white box trucks.
I think it was some Christian group that was.
What if they might have had all their like signs and stuff and they were going to protest somewhere?
Like I wonder if they have
those protesters make me insane.
Okay, so when I was 16, I was one of those protesters.
I feel like you might have told me that one time.
Okay, but come on, I was 16 years old, or maybe I was 15, and I was in this religion, and I was an evangelical Christian, and I held the sign with the fetus on it. I did that.
You believed it and everything, I bet.
Well, yeah, and that's, you have no life experience. You just, you.
How could you kill a baby?
Yeah, how could you? And it becomes this a form of judgment, and it becomes a form of I'm better than you. Mm-hmm. I'm carrying the sign, and this is what I believe in, and all you people are damned and going to hell. And there is that.
Oh, it makes me crazy that anybody thinks they can have an opinion on that. Like, there are so many. Like, do you think any woman wants to have an abortion? Like, nobody is like, well, birth control method.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure.
If you're mentally challenged.
You guys can argue with me. I'm sure there are situations where people have used it as birth control. Yeah. Most of the time, there is a very good reason, and these people actually are making a very unselfish decision, I think. Yeah. Like, so then you go to the whole conversation of like, so what age does life start? Like, is it 10 weeks? Is it 24 weeks?
Is it the time that egg hits the sperm? Because it's not when does life start, but when do you, I guess the question is, when do you have a soul? Yeah. Right? That's the religious question. If you believe in souls. Yeah, but at what point do you have a personality? Right? Yeah. Like, you're born with one. Yeah, yeah. So it makes me think about like at what point do you have a personality? But I know when you're born, you're really just a crying, pooping mess.
Yeah.
And I do believe in abortion. I do believe in that.
Yeah. This is a really like touchy subject because there's so many different situations, and I think, but the thing is that's the issue, is there are so many different situations, and it should not be a law or something that people can have an opinion on other than the people involved in the situation.
I agree, and I'm really worried about the U.S. right now, because if Trump gets in again and he's stacking the, help me out with my political words.
You're asking the wrong person. Cabinet?
No. Well, maybe the cabinet and their
Supreme Court?
Yeah, the new Supreme Court judge, right? If they stack it in favor of Trump, and this person is a complete radical, right? Yeah. And so they may very well turn over that law and make abortion illegal, which scares the shit out of me.
Because people are going to have abortions either way.
Yeah, they will.
Like
they did before when it was illegal, and there was a lot of coat hanger abortions, right?
Well, that's the problem. And and there's lots of places that I know you can, like, there's, how far along can you have an abortion here? Do you know?
3 months? 4 months?
That seems about right.
20 weeks, I'm thinking?
I know somebody who realized they were pregnant about 6 months. They had no idea. They had to go to Toronto to get it done. Okay. And it was like a traumatizing experience, like in a basement. It was like not a backyard deal, but like it was not good at all. But like it can be done, but think of the trauma there. Now you're getting on a plane, you're flying somewhere just to end this pregnancy that you're like, oh fuck. Like,
okay, you know what? I don't think I would end the pregnancy at that point.
But I think what was going on in her head, we were a lot younger, and it's like, you have been drinking nonstop, you eat like shit. Like, I don't know. This is what she said. You feel sick. Like you have not been taking care of your body. What kind of baby is going to come out of this? Am I setting myself up and this kid for disaster anyways?
Yeah.
So it's a very, and a lot of people, then you go to the like, wow, that's very irresponsible. You shouldn't have done that in the first place.
Too late.
That's the thing.
That's not the point.
Fair enough. Like that's a different conversation. We're already here.
Yeah, we're here.
You should be allowed to terminate it if like it's, or let's say, okay, fine, have the baby. Who the fuck knows who the dad is? So now you're a single mom. You're doing everything by yourself. It might have a ton of issues because you weren't taking care of yourself at all.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck. Like, you've just screwed up your life. You screwed up this kid's life. You've released a bunch of shit into the world.
Oh,
like,
that is such a hard situation. Like, I wouldn't want to be in it.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be in that situation at all.
Yeah. Like, and I can understand why people are against abortion. Like, I have some friends who are like, it's just not an option for me. If I were to get pregnant, you just do it. And fine.
Yeah.
But don't care if I want to do it.
Yeah, don't judge me for it.
Yeah.
And I think that we as women do make, like, I'm making this judgment call right now. Like, you're talking about this friend in 6 months, and I'm like, I'm judging. Yeah. And I'm thinking, but you can't. Like, I don't want to be that
20
person.
years old or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm just, I think about this sometimes. Like, me and Carson are done having kids. Like, done. He's had a vasectomy. Let's say something happens and I find myself pregnant.
Yeah. Like you cheat on Carson.
Yeah. And I cheat on him and I get pregnant and I need to hide it. But honestly, I wouldn't want to have that kid.
Yeah, I hear you.
Whether it was cheated or Carson's vasectomy failed. Either way.
I know.
Either way.
Yeah.
I don't want another kid. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I could have another kid.
Yeah.
People have surprise babies all the time and they're miracles and the best thing ever.
Ugh.
They could. I could. And, maybe I'm going to end up having this kid and I'll be so happy. But, like, I like that abortion is an option.
Yeah. I don't think you know how you felt until you were like, holy fuck, I'm pregnant.
Totally. Or until I held the baby in my arms. Because, like, I think the whole pregnancy I'd be like, fuck me.
I think I have nightmares about that still now.
Do you?
I have nightmares that I'm like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And, and I'm like, I don't want this baby. That's what I think of in every dream that I have that I'm pregnant.
I look at people that are getting pregnant and I'm like, ooh, glad it's not me.
Yeah. Like,
which is funny because we go through these stages of our life, right?
Yeah, we do.
I'm not that far out of it. I have a 6 and a 4-year-old. It wasn't that long ago, but like, it's like something in my brain. I'm like, I'm not going back. You can't make me do it. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, it's so done.
I want all my friends to have babies and I'll hold them. And I love when a newborn falls asleep on me. And I just like, I love it. But do I want my own? I want the option if I ever cheat on Karsten and get pregnant, just kidding.
Use a condom, Amanda.
No. That's a whole different. Do you use condoms?
Never.
I have some people in my life that are married and still use condoms.
Why?
It's like they don't trust the pill. Various reasons.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Like,
I guess you just get used to it, but I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where I've used condoms.
I have used a condom maybe 3 times. I think I'm exaggerating when I say 3 times. Like, I very rarely, because I had my first boyfriend, lost my virginity to him, and then Karsten.
Okay, so me and John moved in together at the age of 19, and I had something called polycystic ovary syndrome. Have you heard of that?
Maybe.
That's basically when you have little tiny cysts on your ovaries, but basically the doctor tells you you can't get pregnant, and you ovulate like once every. I guess they tell you don't ovulate, and what happens is your lining of your uterus just builds up and then releases. So it could happen like once every 3 months, whatever. So they're saying, well, you're not going to get pregnant. So I'm like, well, I don't fucking care. So I didn't have Amanda till I was 26. So that's a long time to go without.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So condoms were not a thing because I'm like, well, I might as well.
What about, did you ever go through a promiscuous phase, like after your divorce? And did you use condoms? Tell us all the details.
No, I didn't use condoms because the guy that I was with was fixed. Because at that point I'm in my 40s, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of guys are. At least I think we didn't use. Oh, maybe I got an IUD. That's what happened. I got.
You weren't worried about STDs?
It was just one guy. So I should have probably worried about that. But I was like, I just want to fuck this guy.
It's the thing, like
Yeah.
stopping in the middle to put a, or like, I don't know.
I just couldn't imagine. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody, so you're in a relationship and you're just doing one guy, I'm just going to take care of that and I got an IUD. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And they're good for a year. So.
They're good for 5 years, I
So
think.
why aren't your friends doing that?
I don't know. They like condoms. Nobody likes. I don't know. I don't know.
Nobody likes condoms.
It gets brought up probably once every like 10 times we hang out, and me and Karsten are like,
why?
why does it get brought up?
Do they have kids?
Yeah. They have one.
So,
and they don't want any more.
So why don't they fix it?
I don't know.
You must have asked them. Of course you have.
Well, because he's still kind of, I don't know. He doesn't want to fix it.
Ugh.
I think in the back of his head.
I hate men.
Although
like
it used to be in the back of his head, he always wanted another one. But I think at this point, maybe he's come to terms with they're not having any more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He doesn't want to. There's like a thing that guys have where they don't want to. Did you ever know guys or experience? Okay, so like some guys just like don't want to do that.
They think it like takes away their manliness.
Yeah.
But I don't think it does.
I was so happy when Karsten did it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have to push him or anything. Like he was a procrastinator when it came to making the appointment, but that's just who he is. Like I just make his appointments. Like I'm like a mother.
You're like, it's vasectomy time.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. McKenna was 7 months or something, and I was like, I think we need to do this. Like, because we're just like we both have decided we're done. 2 kids is enough, and it was such an easy recovery for him. It worked out good. So he is an advocate for it. He tells all his friends, he's like, do it.
I'll have to get Greg on to tell his vasectomy story because he has the worst story. Did he ever tell you that story?
It sounds familiar to me, but you'll have to share it with our audience.
Well, he ended up getting a vasectomy after. He wasn't with me. He was with his first wife. I can't believe he was married before. Anyways, he was young, like in his 20s, and he ended up getting this old doctor. Like I picture this old shaky knife, and he ended up cutting him. And basically, like he was like, I think Greg said that he felt it, and he was like freaking right out. And the doctor ended up leaving the room. like if I remember the story correctly, ended up leaving the room, and Greg's like bleeding everywhere. Yes, and he like walked out going like, what the fuck? And some other doctor had to come in and fix it. But it was like totally botched, and his nut is still sore, still sensitive on that side. Like fucked it right up. Like,
so he must be that guy who's telling his friends, don't do it, man.
Yes, he was the guy who was like, oh my God, do I have a story for you? Like my balls are like this big. Like it was a
That's
complete
the thing. There's a lot of guys who are afraid of that
disaster.
shit because of those kind of stories.
But that was a long time ago. I mean,
people
Greg
still have. I think my sister has a friend's husband who had a really bad experience, and it just I don't know. Sometimes it sucks.
But I wonder about the new treatments. Like I hear on the advertisements about like laser, cutting. Like what's that?
I dropped Karsten off. It was like just down the street. And I was gonna take the kids for lunch. And he's like, I can drive. It's fine. I'm like, no. I'll drive you. I'll pick you up. It's gonna hurt. So I take the kids for lunch. We just go to like a quick Extreme Peter or something. And I was gonna just go in I hadn't even sat down and ordered the food yet at a fast food place. And he called me. He's like, I'm done. And I was like, pack the kids up. It was like a 15-minute procedure. He went to the gas station and grabbed something while he was waiting for me.
So they do it at the doctor's office and just go.
He said he could smell burning. And it was just like a quick thing. And then he came home. He had to shave everything completely. Came home with like some ice. I was going to say golf the next day, but it wouldn't have been the next day. It was a couple days later, though, he was golfing. And, like, the next day he had to move our trailer. He had to park it somewhere. And he was in and out of the truck. And he said that kind of hurt, but he was okay. Like, it was very, very good for him. It was a great experience.
So you recommend the vasectomy?
I recommend it. 10 out of 10. Because we don't want any more kids. And I don't want to have to deal with an abortion.
Yeah.
But he would support me if we did have an abortion. Back to
full circle, and he would support me because a man who won't support you with an abortion is a fucking douche, and you need to let him go.
Yeah, if he thinks you should just deal with it, imagine all the other things he wants you to just deal with. So fuck him.
Fuck him. And not literally.
Yeah, don't fuck him again. And if you do, use a condom. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Even your Alexa will play us if you ask her to.
Alexa, play None of Our Business podcast.
She'll fucking do it, too. Tune in. We'll show you our boobs.
Yeah, if you subscribe, the first 100 subscribers will get to see our boobs.
It's none of our business. 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 It's none of our business.